Hello and welcome. A number of opportunities have come in relationship to ways in which you can enjoy New Jersey. And one of the most important areas that we have begun to put a lot of effort and interest in has been Asbury Park. And on many occasions, we get the impression that Asbury Park is a community of people that basically come here for the beach. But there are a number of individuals who live in the Asbury Park community, and many of them have invested into the history of this great environment. We're here today with Ms. Kay Harris, who has really made an effort to show the rich history that Asbury Park offers to the state of New Jersey. And Kay, we're very happy to have an opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you, and we're glad to have you and having this opportunity to talk about our museum.
That's great. And many people didn't know, and probably don't know, that Asbury Park has a museum. But the museum itself has been a culmination of many opportunities that you have had in your ability to be able to have an entrepreneurship here, especially on the boardwalk here at Asbury Park. But there have been a number of different situations. The Asbury Park boardwalk at one point was almost devastated, and now it's beginning to be regenerated. But what I would like to talk a lot about is not only the effort that you continue to make to improve upon the history and the knowledge of Asbury Park, but the hardships that you have gone through in order to make this exist. Let's talk a little bit about the beginning as a businesswoman here in Asbury Park.
Okay.
How did you start?
Basically, I opened up a business in 2005. It was a seasonal business, and it was called the Asbury Galleria, where I present historic photos of Asbury Park along with memorabilia, t-shirts, mugs, keychains, books on the Jersey Shore. And in the beginning stages, this is when Asbury Park was just trying to come back. So what I did, it was a collaboration where I invited other business people to come, and we shared one large space. And we all had something different to contribute. And over time, Asbury Park started moving forward, and then they started bringing in other businesses, restaurants, and it was the vitality was coming back, and we were so excited to see that happen. And when I started off, I was still employed with AT&T, so this was just a little side venture. And then once I retired from AT&T, it was at the same time when they were looking for the businesses to be open year-round. And so I was excited to take that plunge, and I've been a part of the turnaround or regeneration of Asbury Park.
Or revitalization within itself.
Revitalization, yes. But at the same time, I'm a little bit concerned about the direction that it has been taking, because we're excited to see it come back, but we say, hey, well, a lot of us have been here all along. Other people are just recognizing and discovering the jewel of the Jersey Shore. And we do have a significant African-American population in Asbury Park, but if you were to come and visit along the boardwalk, you might not recognize that's the case. So I decided this past year, because I'm also a member of the Asbury Park Historical Society, and I felt that it was way past time for us to actually have a museum. And this museum would be an opportunity to showcase all of Asbury Park. So it's not just about the waterfront, so they can see the rich history of the entire community.
And how it was built, and the contributions that people have made, especially in the arts and education area. There are a number of different things that you do showcase in the museum that accentuate the value that everything that has happened in Asbury Park wasn't always on the boardwalk.
Oh, absolutely. So even though the museum begins by showing the founding of Asbury Park, which was in 1871, It takes you through the 1800s and 1900s, but it also showcases the west side of Asbury Park, which was a vibrant business district. We had clubs, a strong musical community, and in the very early years, in terms of the visitors who came to Asbury Park, it was predominantly white because blacks weren't even really allowed on the beach in Asbury Park.
As in
it
many
was very
areas in New Jersey,
yes, as in many
Especially
communities at that time. So whites and blacks were going to the clubs on Springwood Avenue.
Okay.
And it was a mixed community of Italians and Germans and African Americans. Slowly over the years, it became more predominantly black. But again, in terms of the general contribution, we have an exhibit that was curated by Charlie and Pam Horner. And it's an excellent museum that traces the musical history back into the 1800s. So it includes spiritual, it includes gospel, jazz, R&B, and so it'll take you all the way up to the current times.
And it really represents the fact that Asbury Park is not just a rock and roll town. There are a number of different artists that have contributed to the opportunity to be able to share many of the rewarding talents.
Right. I mean, we have like Leon Trent, and of course you're familiar with the Broadways, the Moments.
Right.
So, Billy Brown hails from Asbury Park, so we...
I believe there was some information that I thought I saw where Wendy Williams has had an involvement here.
Well, she's from Asbury Park.
Okay.
So she lived on Central Avenue, and they have renamed that street that she lived on Wendy Williams Way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to say the least, the dynamics of the culture here in Asbury Park has a history, and that history has an opportunity to be identified with.
Right.
And there are people who are in this community that can benefit from it, as well as tourists that come and visit the boardwalk. You're right now located on the boardwalk, and you really have a need to continue to be somewhere present in this area. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you have in your museum that individuals will be attracted to.
Okay. In addition to the history of Asbury Park, we also have a section which is our legendary locals of Asbury Park, which is curated by Tom Chesick. In fact, he wrote a book on that, which is available in our store. And this showcases the many, many people, individuals who grew up and graduated from Asbury Park High School. We have like Leon Hess. We have Frank Budd, who is the world's fastest runner. You have Danny DeVito, that's from the area. Jack Nicholson.
How can this museum in itself, because it has a lot to be able to offer, and there is a lot of investment that's needed so that it can grow, because you still have a number of different other items that can be helpful in this environment. How does this help the educational community?
Well, it helps by a lot of people who grew up in this town are not necessarily aware of the rich history and the contributions and people who've done very well. So it's an opportunity to learn about the foundation. You don't want to just learn about like just general history, American history, but what about even your local history? And I would say Asbury Park was a huge stakeholder in terms of, like years ago, if you lived within a 30-mile radius of Asbury Park and you traveled someplace, oh, where are you from? Oh, Asbury Park. I mean, we were on the map, and then since then, of course, you have so many other shore towns
that have really built itself at a present.
Right, but Asbury Park is really known for its rich history. So when we have visitors, we have people from all over the country and all over the world, actually, who come and visit Asbury Park. And they come and they have so many memories and stories that they can tell you about the swan boat rides, the palace amusements. There's just so many fond memories. I've seen people come in and just tear up and because all the emotions come back. And so what we're trying to do is share some of that history with the next generation, let them know that this is, some of the rich history. But at the same time, we're on the precipice of creating new history. And so when families and people come to Asbury Park, we wanted to also be appealing to all generations so that they will want to come again as adults.
Surely the diversification of the area is going to loan a great deal of opportunity for economic development. The revitalization of it has already started to attract individuals with incomes that can really absorb a lot of the area and really kind of like gentrify or force people out. How do you think there should be an effort made in regard to continuing the grassroots effort that you're making?
Well, we definitely want there to be a balance in the future development and the direction of the town. So yes, we know that they're building townhomes and condominiums that start at $1 million and go up. Maybe some that might be in over 800,000, but it's very high priced. And we're very concerned that it is pushing out the middle, not just the low income, but even middle class people can barely afford to live here.
But not to even mention in terms of businesses being able to afford.
My gosh.
When you are an organization that does outreach to the community, how do you survive with that kind of investment made from others and not giving you the opportunity to continue to grow?
It's very difficult because there are many businesses who came in and invested in businesses at the early years of Asbury Park's revitalization. But at that time, perhaps the rents weren't quite as high because, we're almost like doing them a favor just having our presence. But now, like, the value of the waterfront property has escalated. I mean, I don't know why so much, because they didn't have to pay that much when they got it, when they acquired it. But they really want to, benefit from the fact that they know that there's a prime value on the waterfront property. And then what's happening, it's causing it to be, it's pushing out the small businesses, basically. And where many of us really cannot afford to be here on the waterfront. And they are really trying to attract like the high-end customers. But then by doing that, so it's an impact on both the visitors as well as the businesses. Visitors who don't have that high, the same kind of income can't afford to visit, and then the businesses that are small, operate on a smaller scale, can't compete with, like the restaurants or people who are charging the higher prices.
Right. And it is a very tough conversation to employ, although we have heard that there is a great deal of issues going on politically here in Asbury Park. But there is still that synergy, that relationship. The Historical Society is also partnering with you, as well as other organizations. Let's talk a little bit about those organizations.
Yes, so when I pulled together the museum, it's a cross-section of individuals from the Asbury Park Historical Society, the New Jersey Pan-African Chamber of Commerce, and also the New Harmonies Musical Heritage. And I did that deliberately because I wanted this to represent a cross-section of what Asbury Park is about. And also by doing that, we have contributions from a cross-section of individuals. And we have a stake in the future.
That's great. And, again, you've been doing a phenomenal job at wanting to continue to keep that foundation and the base of what it is that you do. You were also encouraged to write a book. Let's talk a little bit about your work, From Amistad to the White House, Teachable Moments. And the book is written by Kay Harris, From 1839 to Within My Lifetime. Yeah, explain to us exactly what encouraged you to write that book.
Actually, this came about because I was doing a photojournal assignment for a travel magazine. for a travel magazine for women of color.
Okay.
And they sent me on a trip to the civil rights sites of the South, starting with the Lorraine Hotel,
Go on.
Money, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, Selma, Alabama, across the Edmund Pettus Bridge to Montgomery and to Atlanta. And so this captures my personal reflections along with the photo images, what I was feeling as I experienced this journey. However, the book goes beyond the civil rights era, and it actually continues. It goes up to November of 2016.
Okay.
And, but of course, taking a step back, of course, Barack Obama was first elected in 2008. And so when I say from Amistad to the White House, teachable moments from 1839 to within my lifetime. So Barack Obama's the one that coined the phrase teachable moments with that incident with Henry Gates and Sergeant Crawley.
Correct.
And then he invited them for beer at the White House.
Right.
But when Obama spoke up against Henry Gates being arrested, and he was already had proof that he was in his own home, he was criticized for even speaking out as if he was being partial to his own race. So he tried to set the tone, okay, let's set back. So I talk about all the series of teachable moments that occurred through the civil rights period, and the challenges that continued even after he was elected. We were just so excited and never even believed this could happen, to see the first African-American president be elected in our lifetime. And then you go fast forward after his 8 years, and then you had a whole nother era where now, you know, we thought we have accomplished so much. And then in 2016, the curtain is pulled back, and there's just so much tension and diversity. So
it teaches us how we must stand together.
Exactly.
And be encouraged.
And then perhaps it's an understanding as to, you know, because young people say, well, why do we have so much hatred? But if we take a step back into history, we can see some of the history behind it and why it occurred. And hopefully we can have more of a conversation. So I would invite people to really, you know, take the time to look at this and share the stories with the younger folks as well.
It's a good idea.
And so hopefully, instead of talking at each other, we can kind of talk with each other. Even if we do have various political views, that's perfectly fine. But we need to find another way of communicating and sharing humanity with each other, so that we're not such a divisive nation as we are.
And some other reading memorabilia, as you have in your lap, talking about Asbury Park.
Yes, this book is Madonna Carter's book that she put together, which is a pictorial journey of photos taken by her father, Joseph Carter. And so these are photos.
And it gives a rich history of the other side
of the other side. Yes, and we have a nice, a broad collection of books on Asbury Park's history, from Ziegler and Bilby, and from Helen Pike. So we have a number of different authors. And
also, you have books that are nostalgic, as the one I'm holding here, Maya Angelou, The Amazing Peace. And it was a Christmas poem that was put together.
Yeah,
and you
I did try to have
available.
some books available for as gifts for young people.
Right. And those are wonderful items that people can be able to encourage and cherish and get involved into being a part of this rich history. There are a number of different postcards and posters and T-shirts, as the one that I'm wearing and the one that Kay is wearing as well, that is available here in Asbury Park, and that can be helpful in helping to promote the effort that Kay and the other organizations are coming together to continue to show that there is a grassroots effort that want to stay involved in the revitalization of the Asbury Park community.
Right.
And we want to be very supportive of what you're doing. We're
And
talking,
I also wanted to thank Madison Marquette
Okay.
for providing us with the opportunity for a presence here.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make it understood, this is actually just a temporary pop-up museum, and we'll be here till mid-March.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to hoping that you can find another location.
Yes.
And somewhere
But they
in the
did
same
give us
area.
this opportunity so we can have our presence, get the word out that we exist,
Right.
and we're still inviting people to donate additional items to the museum. And so our goal is to try to secure a permanent home for our museum.
Well, we're going to be looking forward to it, as everyone, as far as my viewers are concerned. We would like to give a jazz benefit event here. If we can be able to help assist and support the effort, and in a couple of weeks we'll come up with an opportunity to schedule it.
That would be absolutely great. I appreciate that, because that is one of our other missions is to provide a place for a community space where we can have different programs. And we do have things scheduled right now for the month of February, which is a read-in of African American literature.
So we'll be looking forward to that.
And then in musicians and spoken word. And
if there are any others that might be interested in being a part of this opportunity for us to establish a presence, how can they be able to get in contact with you?
We have a Facebook page, the Asbury Park Museum. So if you can go to that page, you can like us. There's contact information there. And my name is also Kay Harris. You can also Google my name.
Is there a telephone number?
Yes, 732-539-7574. And that's my direct contact information. So I welcome any phone calls, email, Harris, mck@msn.com.
Great. So there you go. The challenge is there. We hope you get involved and help us support this wonderful effort in Asbury Park. Thank you, Kay. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Okay, bye-bye.
And thank you for tuning in. No complaints, no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. For I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you got. I've had my share. Even though I'm satisfied, I hunger still to see what's down the road, beyond the hill, and do it all again. So here's to life and every song it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. Funny how time flies, how love could change from warm hellos to sad goodbyes, and leave you with those memories to memorize, to keep your winters warm. But there's no yes to what tomorrow brings or takes away. As long as I'm in the game, I want to play. Ooh, baby, here's to life and all the joy it brings. Yes, here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered, and all that's good gets better. Here's to love, here's to life.